Hello, and welcome to today's live coaching call and community conversation. Today, we are going to be talking about extended fasting. Should you, as a woman, practice extended fasting? And I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks and hopefully some pitfalls that you can avoid after listening to today's call if maybe you are thinking about jumping into some extended fasting. So, welcome. My name is DYANN. I am the creator of the online course and community, the Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman, as well as our graduates level midlife mindset shift course, which is a group coaching program. Here in this community, we do like to practice an intermittent fasting lifestyle to help us reverse the signs of aging so that we can wake up every day looking and feeling our best and living our most authentic life. So if you're new, the way these live coaching calls and community conversations work is I talk about today's topic and coach on it for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then I open up the conversation for questions, comments, and anything that we can do to help engage our community and support our community in what it is they say that they really want for themselves. That's how today will work. If you're joining us on the rebroadcast, same thing applies. If you leave a comment for me in the comment section, I always come back and make sure that I address anything that you have left for us here in our community. If you haven't already done so, we always ask that you please take one little second to hit that subscribe button and also make sure that you are hitting the notification bell icon to make sure that you are notified when we do either go live or our content is uploaded for you to view when it's more convenient for you. So let's get started on today's conversation. And I'm also going to put the registration link for our next intermittent fasting course, which will start on December the 1st. It will end before most holiday seasons start in December. So if you're looking to jump into something to kind of get your head straight about how it is you want to manage the holidays and maybe practice your intermittent fasting lifestyle, registration is open for that course. Okay, so let's get to what we want to talk about today. So first and foremost, what is extended fasting? So extended fasting is anything that's beyond an intermittent fasting type of fast, right? So we know intermittent fasting is the time frame within a 24-hour cycle of a day. You have two windows, a fasting window and a feasting window. Typically, if you're practicing intermittent fasting, your fasting window is the larger window within your 24-hour time frame. Here, we do primarily practice a 20-hour fast and a 4-hour feast. That is the fasting protocol that most of us are finding really does help alleviate a lot of the signs and signals we have as aging women transitioning through all the changes that happen for us in today's world. So that's what we practice here. And we're going to talk about a little bit of extended fasting. So as a mindset coach and a nutrition coach and a fasting coach, I always like to focus on why are you considering fasting? If you don't know why, then fasting isn't really going to make a whole lot of sense, because if we think about what fasting is, you're picking a period of your day where most people are eating and you're going to choose not to. And socially, that can be a really difficult thing to manage for a lot of people. So your why really does need to be strong enough for you to stay committed to what it is you say you really want. When you figure out your why, then figuring out how you're going to fast is so much easier to manage and manipulate and control in your own environment, because your why will be the emotional and the mental connection you have to what it is you're doing. And it's going to help you with the physical aspects of fasting as well. So we know that fasting helps with cellular repair. We know it reverses the signs of aging. It helps you become more metabolically flexible. A lot of metabolic inflexibility is really just the aging process. It helps reverse sugar-related issues, which is where a lot of women come to this community specifically, because as our hormones start to change and our estrogen levels start to drop off, insulin is that hormone that kind of naturally adjusts to that and goes on the rise. We end up insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, or diabetic. And so intermittent fasting really does help reverse that. Maybe you want improved energy, mental clarity. Maybe it's just a lifestyle approach that makes sense for you, because dang it, if we can go 20 hours of our day without having to micromanage nutrition and micromanage our calories and micromanage our macros, like how sweet will life be? That is where a lot of women are really finding intermittent fasting to suit them as well. Or maybe it's all the above, right? And we're going to talk about why all the above is also a really great why for intermittent fasting as well. So let me get to my next page here. So some of the things to consider when you're thinking about fasting just in general terms is what fat adapted means, what sugar dependent means, what metabolic flexibility means, and what is ketosis. The more fat adapted your body is, the easier it feels when you're fasting. So what do I mean by that? For a lot of us, myself included, when I started intermittent fasting, I was very sugar dependent. I was hypoglycemic and also insulin resistant. And I was in the stage of pre-diabetes that was knocking on the door of being a full-blown diabetic. I was in my late 40s. I was a health and fitness coach. I was eating clean. I was exercising. I was doing all the things to avoid that situation. But because I was also exiting out of perimenopause and in the initial stages of menopause, my hormones were really out of whack. And so I was really sugar dependent because of the lifestyle I had around food and because of what was going on with my insulin. I also have a history of sugar dependency as well. I've told that story like 100 times. So when you're more fat adapted, meaning you don't have this kind of hormonal episodes in your day where you're sugar high, sugar low, sugar high, sugar low, also called hypoglycemia, when your sugar feels like it's bottoming out and you get the hangries or the shakes or you feel lightheaded, you can't imagine going hours without food because you are so dependent on sugar and your body doesn't know how to, or you mentally and emotionally don't have the confidence to become fat adapted just because it doesn't feel comfortable getting through the sugar dependency. So we have to get to our body to a place where we're fat adapted if we want to really take advantage of what being in a fasted state can do for us. With all those things that I described could be the why you want to start fasting. So fat adapted means your body's no longer depending on sugar to get you through the day. Everything's balanced out there. We call that being in a hunger hormone balanced state. And your body knows how to switch between sugar and or carbohydrates and fat as its primary source of energy. And it does it at will. So we want to get to that place. That is also known as metabolic flexibility, meaning you can take energy in, energy being nutrition. Your body knows what to do with that energy efficiently and effectively. And you can switch between utilizing carbohydrates for energy, not storing them, but using them, and then also converting into fat for energy and pulling from the storage that we have in our body. And then we also know the state of ketosis is where a lot of us can prove that we're actually utilizing fat for energy. And it is also a great place to heal our bodies, right? So these are terms you want to be really familiar with, especially when you're thinking about possibly going into some extended fasting. The more fat adapted you are, the more pleasant your experience will be if you're going to go beyond intermittent fasting, because you have to be able to tap into some fat stores in order for you to feel physically, probably, and emotionally more comfortable in a fasted state. Okay, so let's talk about some of these protocols. So extended fasting, like I said, is just beyond intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is a 24-hour period. You get to decide how long am I going to fast today and how well am I going to feast today. Intermittent fasting is something everyone should be capable of doing. We know that we're not supposed to be in a fed state all of the time, at least not newly fed, right? And when we're really good at being fat adapted and we are comfortable and confident in that fasting window, our body turns internally to feast. When you can grasp that concept, then fasting is a really powerful place for us to live, because most people are afraid of fasting because they're afraid they're starving their body. When you're fasting correctly and you're fasting appropriately, fasting is the place where your body is going to turn internally to feast on all of the things that you're probably complaining about: extra body fat, Maybe you have some weight you need to lose. Maybe there's some inflammation that you're trying to get rid of. Maybe there are some just pesky little things that you're not happy with in, on, and around your body that if you put yourself into a fasted state, your body will take care of for you. So that's what we want to think about with fasting. So extended fasting is a 72, 48, 36, 24 plus hour fasting protocol. So you are going beyond just your 24-hour window. So why would someone want to do an extended fast? Well, lots of health benefits for it. The 72-hour fast or the 72-hour water fast, the 3-day water fast, however you want to describe that, it has really shown or proven that it can reverse a lot of aging things that we're not happy with. It is this prime opportunity for us to really tap into a lot of that cellular damage that we just kind of hold on to internally with aging and over time. And our body goes inward and really does get into those deep states of autophagy where it just eats away at the damage and then can redistribute new DNA into your system. So a 72-hour fast can be very beneficial for a lot of people. As a 48-hour fast, same thing. Maybe you just decide for a couple of days you don't want to eat anything. 36-hour fast is one of those things that once you really become fat adapted, you become mature with your fasting and your feasting windows, meaning you're really confident with the choices that you're making. A 36-hour or 24 plus hour fast can be really fun to do because you'll tap into that energized sense of calm and you'll get all these amazing health benefits. And it can be a place where you'll just get some really great mental clarity and an abundance of energy when you do it from a place where you have that experience with fasting. What I want to talk about with extended fasting and what I want to say I want us to think about trying to avoid is using these types of fasting protocols as a means to do a quick fix or undo something or a decision-making process that we feel guilty about, right? A lot of self-sabotaging, throwing in the towels, or I had a, binge kind of weekend. No, I'm just going to not eat for a couple days and try to reverse that. That's one of the things that I really do want to make sure that if you're going to jump into an extended fasting protocol, that you're doing it from a place where you're really informed about your decision-making process and you're really comfortable and confident with your why, so that the how part of it can leave you with the benefits in which you're trying to do that. So what do I mean by all of that? I want to make sure that if you're going to jump into a 72-hour fast, you're not just doing it because someone on the internet said that you should do it and it seems beneficial. I want you to understand what it actually means for your body. If you're doing it as a quick fix, then all we are doing with our mindset is making a decision to deprive ourselves of food for a set amount of hours. And when we go into fasting with that approach, that is where I really believe we have to wave the danger flag of doing things that are just unhealthy from an emotional standpoint, and our body is going to not respond very well because we're doing it from a place of panic. We're doing it from a place of desperation, and our body is not going to know what's going on. You're just going to say no to food for 3 days and not really give it a warning or build up to having your body have the opportunity to benefit from what a 72-hour fast is supposed to do. You're just going to bottom out, and then you're going to have that lasting impression of what fasting is as something that's negative because it's not going to feel good for you. And you're probably going to be white knuckling your way through the 72 hours. We want those kind of fasts to be really like healing from the standpoint of mental, emotional, and physical healing, and going into that decision-making process with some clarity as to our why, so the how makes sense for our body. What happens when we use these types of fasting as a quick fix weight loss approach? So let's say you're like, my son's getting married next weekend. I'm going to do a 72-hour fast to try to lose some weight so I can fit into my dress and feel more confident. What we have to understand is that you're just denying your body a food, and food has a weight to it. So if you don't put weight into your body, then that's a weight your body is not going to carry. It's not so much that you physically or physiologically have put yourself into a position where you've lost weight. You just stop putting weight into your body, AKA food. You then go to eat and you're going to gain that weight back because you haven't lost weight in the way our body is designed to lose weight. So I want us to think about that, right? Food has a weight to it. If you don't put that weight in your body's not going to hold that weight. So denying yourself food is not the way to lose weight. We need to stop starving ourselves in that type of desperate fashion. That is true starvation. When you're doing something like a 72, 48, 36, or 24-hour plus fast, there is some buildup to it. So I always say if you're going to practice a 72-hour fast, give yourself an entire week. You want to start weaning yourself off of some of those body dependent kind of foods, maybe cut some unnecessary carbohydrates out, maybe really up some fat to kind of build that up. Make sure you're properly hydrated. Wean yourself off of some eating hours throughout the days leading up to it. So you're already building up to some fasting protocols that are a little longer than you're used to. And that way, when you hit that first day of fasting, you're going to feel absolutely amazing. By day 2, you should feel on top of the world. And by day 3, you're going to question why you would ever stop fasting. That's the way a 72-hour fast is supposed to feel. Then when you exit that 72-hour fast, there's also a refeeding protocol that we have to consider. What type of food do I now want to reintroduce to my body and my digestive system because I just shut it out for 3 days? So take an entire 7-day period. If you're going to consider doing a 72-hour fast, do about 3 days on the front end to prepare your body to become more fat adapted and efficient at what it's going to do in the 72 hours, and then give yourself an entire day to refeed and slowly introduce food back in. That's how you get the true benefits of a 72-hour water fast. Same thing holds true with these types of fasts as well. So intermittent fasting, like I said, is within a 24-hour period. So here we really like to practice the 20-hour fast and the 4-hour feast because we're going to get a lot of the benefits that you would get from extended fasting, but on a daily basis on rinse and repeat. What do I mean by that? We know that about 17 hours is when our body gets to that point where autophagy starts taking place. So if you get to that 17-hour mark and you stay in a fasted state for 3 more hours, you just had an amazing 3-hour opportunity for your body to go in and clean out its closets, right? It's going to go in and find those cells that are kind of damaged. It's going to redistribute them as healthy cells, and you get to repeat that process on a daily basis or at will whenever you decide you want to do that 20-hour fast. So this is why we rinse and repeat this intermittent fasting protocol here, because you can get the benefits of what you would do here, but you also get a 4-hour feasting window every single day. A lot of times, what I hear from women with this extended fasting and doing it from I'm just going to jump in and I'm really not fasting at any other point in my life just for 3 days, is that if you go back to what you were doing before the 72-hour fast, meaning you were necessarily fasting at all, maybe you're super sugar dependent, you haven't really identified any food intolerances that could be wreaking havoc on you, you're really wanting to undo some things that you're unhappy with. If you don't make lifestyle changes, then when you go back to living your normal life at 73 hours or 74 hours, you're going to zero out a lot of the benefits that you got from extended fasting. And this is that mindset I really want us to try to avoid here in this community. Desperate 72-hour fasting to make quick fix results and then not making lifestyle changes is zeroing out and then creating this environment for your body where you're denying it food and then eating, and then denying it food and eating. And it's not a healthy approach to what it is with nutritional choices that we're making and how it is we want to care for our body. This is why the 20-hour fast is so powerful for so many women, is you get all of these benefits, but you can eat during your 24-hour cycle. Again, 18-6 is also one of those fasting protocols that's so beneficial to us because we hit that top level of autophagy in our fasted state for at least an hour. And then if you're really informed about your nutritional choices and avoiding all the things that you know your body's intolerant to, you're really informed about your nutritional choices and you're doing them based on what it is that you say that you really want. This can also be very beneficial without having to go days without food. And then, of course, the 16-8, and for those of you who are also practicing the 1 meal a day, reaping all the benefits of what extended fasting can do for you, but you get to eat and you rinse and repeat that on a daily basis, and you don't have to do anything that's too extreme. So what I want us to avoid when we're thinking about extended fasting or we're doing our research on the internet and we think it's just the most amazing thing that we can do for ourselves is your why is going to determine your how. It's also then going to determine the what. What benefits are you going to get from practicing this type of fast based on how you are approaching it and your why? Your why needs to be solid. It needs to be emotionally sound, and it needs to be connected to you and what it is you say you want for your future self. Once you figure that out, then decide which fasting protocol makes the most sense for you and the lifestyle that you want to have. Then the results that you're going to get from that will be exactly what you expect them to be because you did it from the right mindset. So much information out there, so much research out there, but it doesn't apply to you unless you are doing it from the right decision-making process. And that's what we teach here in this community, right? We want to make sure that we're doing things from a sound mind and we're not doing things out of regret or out of desperation or out of us always finding ourselves in that self-sabotage type of environment. You should have a very pleasant experience if you're going into extended fasting. It should not be torture. You should not be white knuckling your way through it. And it shouldn't be something that leaves you with that experience of that was awful. I will never do that again. Really quick before we move on, and now I'll answer all you guys' questions and comments. So thanks for putting those in the comment section. We were away this weekend with a business conference, and of course, you know, when you're at these places, everyone asks like, "So what do you do for a living? So what do you do for a living?" So when I told a lot of these people what I did for a living, a lot of them came back with, "Oh yeah, I fasted 72 hours once, or I fasted 40 hours once, and it was horrible. I could never fast for 20 hours a day." And I thought to myself, like, why would you not be able to fast for 20 hours a day if you fasted for 72 or you fasted for 48? And what I concluded that with is this must have been a horrible experience, right? They didn't get to reap all the benefits that we have here in this community with fasting every day for 20 hours or fasting every day for 18 hours, and the mental clarity and the abundance of energy and the energized sense of calm and the confidence and the weight loss and all the things that we benefit from here can be done if you do this from the right reason, for the right reasons, and then rinse and repeat this fasting protocol that is just so amazing for so many of us women. So if you've had a bad experience with fasting, I want you to go back and think about where you were mentally and emotionally when you made that decision. Was it from a place of desperation, or was it a well thought out decision that made sense for you because you understood the dynamics of what was going on in your body? And that is what you say that you really want for yourself today and for your future. I promise you, fasting will be a much more pleasant experience if you approach it from that standpoint. Okay, let's see who is here today. And of course, I put the link in both Facebook and YouTube. If you are interested in jumping into our intermittent fasting for today's aging woman course, this is exactly the way I teach class. I teach it from the gee, that's interesting. Why are you making that decision standpoint? There's nothing right or wrong about what you do in class. It's all about, does it make sense for you? And then I help you think through that to find a solution for you and what it is you say you want for your life. So super powerful class to be in. Liz, my friend, first comment today. So nice to have you. Happy to be live after a few month trip away from streaming. So happy to be with a group of like-minded people. Girlfriend, we missed you and we're so glad you are back. April, so glad to have you here with us. Leona, girlfriend, how are you? So good to have you back. Bree, hello. I have helped me get through the flu pretty good. Still a little shaky and weak, but feeling much better now. Yeah, you know, when you have the flu and you don't want to eat and you're already fat adapted, they don't end up, having those sugar drops and all that kind of stuff too. So, here we say, when in doubt, fast it out. Fasting is the best opportunity for your body to heal itself of all things. And so, anytime you're not feeling well, always just make sure you get lots of water and see what a good fasting episode can do for you. Sue, my friend, I haven't seen you in forever. So good to have you join us today. Hope you're well. April, loving class and the content. I love that for you, my friend. So nice to have you in class with us in November. And you guys are almost done. You get to graduate, and then you get to be eligible to join us for the Midlife Mindset Shift course, which we will open up registration for next week. So keep an eye out on your inbox for that. So happy to have you as a soon to be graduate of our course. Leona, glad you're feeling better. That's good to know. I have helped you recover. Yeah. When in doubt, fast it out, you guys. Liz, remember to hit that like button. March 23 grad, working to keep clean fasting. Yeah, clean fasting is one of those things too, Liz, that remember, you have to go back to the why you're fasting and does it make sense for you? And once you reverse a lot of the things that you were unhappy with, it is really the opportunity where your body has reset itself. So when things are reset, you can have a little bit more flexibility in your fasting window and just kind of take a break from doing too much, right? And so I share with you guys here a lot that I work out, and I love working out, and I have a very what's the word I want to say? I work out in a very deliberate way. I like to work out hard. I like to work out every day if possible. I love to run, and I have found that I show up better physically in my performance when I have a slight break in my fast with the pre-workout. I also take some creatine, and I take a brain supplement before my workout because I have oxygenated blood flowing through my body. I want that to reach my brain. And so I make sure that I have some brain supplements to hit the brain as well. So I hit all things before my workout because that's my why. I want my physical performance to be top notch. I want my body to be supported, and I want to get the best results from what I'm doing in my physical fitness bucket. And so if you're in that position where you're like, hey, I have these physique goals or I have these fitness goals, is clean fasting every day for 20 hours the priority I need to hit now? Or can I test some things out in my fasting window now that I've reversed all the other things that were ailing me, and test some things out and see how they work? So once you get to the place where you've reset and you're really comfortable and confident with your decision-making process, and you're not self-sabotaging, you're not throwing in the towel, you're not making food decisions based on emotional status in your life, then you can play around with your fasting window. And that's when fasting gets really fun for sure. Bree, yes, I wasn't anxious about food and just leaned into the fast. That's the way you do it, my friend. Lean into the fast when in doubt. Gail, I got away from fasting. I thought I was fasting too much. I'm back and doing alternate day fasting. I feel so much better for the last 2 weeks. Well, there you go. So don't question what works for you, my friend. And why don't you share with us how you're doing alternate day fasting and maybe share with us a little bit about what you thought fasting too much was. I don't think you can fast too much. I just think you have to fast from the right decision-making process, right? And I think if we're doing it from a desperate standpoint, that might not be the best approach. Or we're doing it to reverse bad decision-making processes, that's not the best way to fast either. Fasting from an informed why is the best way to fast, and then you don't have to question anything. So glad to have you back in our community with us, my friend. I hope you stay. Bree, yeah, my doctors say keep going. There you go. There you go. Hey, Judy. Hey, Debbie, Diana. I did a 26-hour fast on the weekend. Felt great after. Wasn't even hungry when I opened my window. Yeah, there you go. 24 plus. So I would say the 24 to the 36-hour fast happened on accident a lot once you're fat adapted and you don't fear the absence of food. Again, an emotional mindset shift we need to make, right? Being comfortable in a state of empty can give you that opportunity to fast 24 to 36 hours without even thinking about it. The 26-hour fast is one of my favorite fasts to do. You will have so much energy, so much mental clarity. You can still have a nice, normal, like feasting window with your family. It's super fun. My husband and I have been starting our fast like around 4:30ish. in the evening. And man, you get to that 20-hour fast the next day so fast, right? And then you can easily jump in if you're going to just do like dinner with your family, you can easily jump into a 22, 24, 26-hour fast. Super fun. When you're not frantic about the absence of food, fasting is powerful. I'm going to say that again. When you're not frantic about the absence of food, fasting can be so fun. And when you make that mindset shift, y'all, it's super, super empowering and powerful. Jackie, great subject today. Just did a 36-hour fast. I feel great. Wasn't hungry. Definitely want to get rid of sugar addiction. Yeah, that is a good way to do that for sure, because you're going to just drain your tanks. And oftentimes when we feel sugar addicted, or we feel hypoglycemic, and so we get afraid at that sensation because we don't understand what it is, and we've been told our whole lives that that's a bad thing. When we feel confident and comfortable extending some of these fasting windows, and we really reverse that sugar addictive tendency, if it is physiological, right? Sugar addiction emotionally is a whole nother thing that we, need to think about and approach probably in a different way. But if it's that physiological reaction to sugar, meaning you have those hypoglycemic episodes, then it is fasting for longer periods of time is the best approach, because once you drain the tanks and you empty out those cells that are just so jam-packed with stored glycogen, then you can become fat adapted pretty easy. And fat adaptation is a really fun place to live in for sure. I'm doing alternate 42s. I'm doing 42s alternate days. So 42 hours of fasting, I think. So like if that's working for you, girlfriend, I would say that is great. Just keep that checking in with your thoughts about that and your mindset about that for sure. Me too, Jackie. Awesome. Yeah, 36-hour fast is fun. Most of the time I do 22 during the flu. I did longer fast. 50 hours was my longest so far. Yeah, just make sure you stay hydrated, my friend, because what you don't want to become with the flu is dehydrated. So get those minerals in you for sure, and making sure you're drinking lots of water. Sugar is so hard to give up. Okay, so Jackie, that's what I want us to think about, right? Like, why is sugar hard to give up? So that sounds like an emotional and mental addiction to sugar, and not a physiological, meaning your body's not sending you signs and signals that it needs sugar, but something in your brain is telling you that you need sugar. And there's not a problem with that unless you feel like that's a problem for you. So think about that a little bit, of why it is you think sugar's hard to give up. I always say, put it in the mindset of what is sugar doing to you and what is sugar doing for you. And if you can't think of anything that's on the positive of what a sugar is doing for you, and you're finding all these negatives to what sugar is doing to you, then you have to go back to your why. Why are you going to let something like sugar be the driving force of your decision-making process when the end result of that decision-making process is not serving you? Break it down that way, and the sugar addiction will be cured instantly, because it won't make sense for your brain. You just have a conflict of thoughts in your brain. You got to clean up the thoughts, and sugar addiction is not a problem. Jackie or Debbie, hi. Jackie, it sure is. Okay, so you guys, let's think about why sugar addiction is a problem. Sugar addiction is a problem because you think it's a problem. What if you didn't think sugar addiction was a problem? What if you didn't think sugar was a problem? What if you thought, no, I have control of everything that I do and all the decisions I make. Sugar's not a problem for me. I'm in control of my body. I make all the best decisions for me. And you believe that sugar is not a problem. Then you've just solved your problem. Don't jump on the bandwagon of believing sugar is a problem when sugar doesn't have to be that. It can be something completely different. You got to change your mindset, you guys. Jackie, I've done a 3-day fast. That was hard. Not done since. Yeah, there's no need to do this, right? If you're doing this, or maybe even this, if you're doing the right things for you consistently, if you're fasting long enough to get the results that you say that you want, if you're feasting well enough to get the results that you say that you want, and you're moving your body in a way that's smart enough for you to get the results that you want, then you shouldn't have to do anything that feels uncomfortable for your body. Okay. So you have to do the other 3 things enough to get the results that you want. At the moment, it works like a charm, but I'm an emotional eater. So relapses will be there, but I enjoy the wins as long as they last. Again, Bree, why are you using food in an emotional state? If you can solve that for yourself, Bree, then you've solved almost all of your problems with food, right? Because you're only going to make informed decisions in an emotionally sound place. So if identifying as an emotional eater is not serving you, you have to identify as something else. So Bree is someone who manages her life when things seem emotionally out of balance. Bree goes for a walk. Bree calls a friend. Bree reads a book. Bree drinks a glass of water. Why can't you be an emotional water drinker? Why can't you be an emotional walker? Why can't you be an emotional person who knits a blanket? Like, you can be anything you want to be in an emotional state, but you're choosing to be an emotional eater. So if that's not working for you, you have to change your belief about you. Debbie, Jackie, I've never went that long. That's great. You could. How was it? A 24-hour fast is as long as I've ever fasted. Yeah, that's good enough. Just fasting consistently, intermittently over time can be enough to reverse a lot of what most of us are complaining about in our life. Body fat, hypoglycemic episodes, cloudy, foggy brain, inflammation. Doing intermittent fasting consistently over time and making informed food choices for most of us is enough. So let's think about that too. You don't have to go longer unless you have a desire to go longer. I love food. So the thought of going days without food is not anything that I really think is enjoyable mentally and emotionally. I have to have a really good reason to go days without food. So for me, when I have had 2 colonoscopies, completely made sense for me why I should fast for 72 hours, right? Because the end of the result is to clean my system out. Check, done. No problems whatsoever. But I love eating food. I love eating with my family, and I'm a very healthy person. So this is enough on rinse and repeat. Every now and then I might fall into this category, but it's usually completely by accident. I've just been busy and I didn't feel like I needed to have food. By the third day, I was getting pains in my stomach, got sick of drinking water. Okay. Debbie, that's awesome, Bree. I've always been an emotional eater as well until I started having stomach issues back in April. Now I don't have much of an appetite, but I still crave sugar at times. I think we need to have a live coaching call about what we say about ourselves and what we believe about ourselves, right? Why are so many women identifying as emotional eaters? Why are we using food to solve our emotional problems when food isn't the thing that solves that, right? Let's think about that. It's serious. It's a serious thing to consider because you're just going to end up going around in circles and being in that little hamster wheel of when things don't go right in your life and you turn to food, and then you accept that and you associate with that because that's what you always do. You have the power and you have the right and you have everything that in your resources to change that if that's not working for you. Leona, wow, thanks so much for this valuable info on extended fasting. How often do you practice extended fasting? I really don't personally. Like I said, it has to make sense for me because I love food. I love eating dinner with my family. Like food is not a problem for me. So the going without food for days, unless I have a reason to do that, just doesn't make sense for me. And right now in my life, I don't have a reason to do that unless I go for another colonoscopy. That makes sense. So I really do stay probably within this frame, maybe every now and then go 24, 26-ish, just because I love the way that feels. But outside of that, I would have to leave my life to do anything extended, and I don't want to leave my life. So I'm not practicing extended fasting personally. The reason I wanted to talk about this today is because I thought it was fascinating that people associate this with all fasting, and they're completely different ways of living your life. Going 72 hours without food is vastly different than practicing intermittent fasting. And so I wanted to make sure if anyone here had a negative experience or maybe felt uncomfortable with fasting for these types of periods and then believe they couldn't do this because they experienced something negative here, I don't want you to be unlimited to that belief. I want you to be open to this belief that you could actually do this as well. Sugar cravings always there, but sometimes they fade into the background on good days. Debbie, Jackie, I can understand that, and the hunger pains are very uncomfortable. Debbie, I could hear my stomach. Okay, let me see. We got any questions in here? Let's see. go to the bottom here. Tina, that sounds like a great topic, emotional eating. Okay, we're going to do that for sure, because what I don't want, I mean, I love that we are a group of like-minded women here. I love that so much, but what I don't want us to accept is that we're a community of emotional eaters. We don't want to be that. We do not want to be a community of emotional eaters. We want to be a community of women who are empowered in a state of hungry, because that's where we make the most informed decisions for ourselves. And oftentimes when you're emotionally eating or admitting to being a sugar addict, for most women, we do that in an unconscious state. And we do that in a place where that's what we say that we want in that moment. And then as soon as that moment is over, the guilt, the shame, the regret, the disappointment, all of those things settle in, because we're taking ourselves farther away from what it is we say that we really want. And we want to be a community of women who are making decisions based on what it is we say that we really want. So we want to make sure that we're working on some mindset shifts. This is what we do inside of our midlife mindset shift course, where we don't need to have a crutch to manage our life. We don't want to have a crutch to manage our life. And we definitely don't want that crutch to be associated with, substance abuse. So if you're overeating and you're an emotional eater, then that is really a substance abuse issue. We're using a substance in an improper way. And if we can fix that for ourselves, then you guys, the world is just going to be opened up to you, because no matter what happens in your life, you're going to be okay, because you know how to manage life when you are just with you. And that's really what we want to do here. So we're going to put that on the agenda for sure. I've been an emotional eater my whole life, just like my dear mom was. Okay, Leona, how's that working for you? I want you to think about how that statement is working for you. I'm channeling into an emotional water drinker. I like that. Yes, my friend, drink some water. If you're feeling off and you're feeling distracted, you have to bring yourself back to a conscious place of thinking. Oftentimes, when we turn to food, when we're not feeling emotionally strong, we check out and we don't even realize the decisions that we're making. So when you're feeling out of sorts emotionally, you pull yourself back to a conscious state and center yourself. We have a lesson inside of class about this. And actually, one of our class members just brought up a YouTube video I did about this. I did it on are you eating for need? Are you eating for want? Are you are you eating for soothing yourself? Are you eating because you're bored? Are you eating because you're unhappy? Like, that's not why we eat. We eat to nourish our bodies. And so we have to learn how to manage our problems in an appropriate way, or manage our emotions in an appropriate way, and not misuse food. And when we can really connect with that, you guys, you'll never have a weight problem. Your health problems will be easy to manage, if you even have any. Like, you'll have an abundance of energy. You'll feel so much more confident and self-directed. And that's really what we want to have here in our community. Elizabeth went to see my doctor last, and she basically got up and danced when she saw how much weight I lost. Well, of course she did, my friend, right? She's excited for you. She's not going to help you manage any kind of unnecessary things in your life. She's going to be like, check, done. I'll see you next year. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, there's no better feeling than to be being able, as a woman in today's world who is going through this aging season, to walk into your doctor's office with absolute confidence and say, prove to me everything that I'm doing is working, as opposed to dragging yourself into the doctor's office. Or what a lot of women are doing is avoiding making doctor's appointments because they don't want to hear the truth about what it is they're doing to themselves, right? So then when you're in avoidance mode, that's also associated with shame and guilt and all the things. We want to confidently walk into our doctor's office every year and say, please draw my blood. I want you to see all the decisions that I'm making and how well they're working for me. And then you want to just say, thank you very much. I'll see you next year. Quick in and out. That's all we want our doctor's appointments to be. Thank you for the encouragement to change our mindset about sugar addiction. That's a very liberating thought, that we don't have to believe we're addicted to sugar. Yeah, it's a mindset shift. It is a mindset shift for sure. We do not have to accept that if that is not what you want to accept. Oh, that's huge. What is blank doing to you versus what is blank doing for you? Yes. So you are the one that gets to decide that, and only you can decide that for you. If what you're doing is not working for you, and you have to ask yourself that question, how is this working for me? And if it's not working for you well, or it's not going to get you what you say you really want, why are you doing the thing? Why are you doing it? That's the true definition of self-sabotage. Why do you want to do that to yourself? You wouldn't let anybody else put you in harm's way or put you in that kind of position. Why are you willing to do it to yourself? And I think it's because there are so many people who are just going to jump on the bandwagon with us. We don't want to be on that bandwagon. We want to be on a bandwagon of women who are like, no, you are not an emotional eater. You manage your emotions. You deal with your life. No, you are not sugar addicted. You don't have to be sugar addicted. You can choose to do something else. You can choose to not be addicted to anything. Just don't have that mindset and be more in control of you than just a runaway brain who's not thinking, right? We get to make those decisions for ourselves. And y'all need to make sure that you're making those decisions while you can, because if you're not careful about some of these beliefs that you're accepting, and you're not careful about what you're willing to put your body in front of, you might be in a position where you can't make decisions for yourself. And how horrible is that going to be? We got to stay in this decision-making process for ourselves. Emotional eating doesn't work for me, and having this mindset doesn't work for me either. Then you got to change it for sure. FRÉ. First thing for me was to realize that I have been an emotional eater. That was so helpful. Now I am changing that, a mindset shift. Yes, you have to change that. If you say you are something, you're telling your brain that that is a true thing. You do not want your brain to believe that. So tell your brain something else. Jay, I'm doing well the second time around in class from the mindset approach. I feel more in control this time around. And so the 24 is much easier for me. I needed the reboot. Yes, you have to come into this with the right mindset. Otherwise, it's just another attempt at a diet. And if you use intermittent fasting like a diet, it's going to serve you like a diet. As long as you're in it, it's going to yield you results. And as soon as you leave it, the results will go away. We are creating a lifestyle approach to taking care of ourselves for today and our future self. And we're doing things differently than we ever have before. We don't care if kale is better than romaine lettuce. How is that working for you? Do you even like kale? Like, you have to really create a lifestyle that you love living in. We said this a few months ago. If you create a life you love, you never have to leave your life to be happy and healthy. Create a life you love so you don't have to leave it to be happy and healthy. The life you're creating is already happy and healthy. You've defined that. You get to live it out. You decide that for yourself, and then you can just stay put and be happy and healthy. It's easy peasy, but you have to make that mindset. You have to make that mindset shift for sure. Diane, wonderful advice. I love how you're explaining how our brains are making us feel so negative. I want to practice more positivity. So your thoughts, Debbie, create how you feel. So if you say, I'm an emotional eater, how does that make you feel? When I say that, and I don't even believe that, I'm just repeating what y'all are saying, and I have to say it out of my mouth. I feel defeated. I feel defeated for me. I feel defeated for you. I don't want to feel defeated. So I am an informed eater. I make sound nutritional choices for me and my future. When I say that, I feel energized. I feel empowered. I feel confident. I feel hopeful. Which would you rather feel? And when you say things, you have to connect with the feeling, because this is what happens next. If you say you're an emotional eater and that makes you feel defeated, what do you do when you feel defeated? Usually not make good choices, right? If you're already feeling defeated and beat up, you're going to make choices that you're going to regret. And the end result of those choices are going to be proof that you, in fact, are an emotional eater because you have an emotional situation and you eat uncontrollably. If you think I'm an informed eater, or I make informed choices for myself around food so that I can be happy and healthy, and you feel empowered, then when you go to make some decisions about food, the decision-making process will be different. And the decision-making process that you make will yield you a result that proves to you that you are in fact an informed eater. It's that simple, but you have to check in with your thoughts and how those thoughts are making you feel. We will do some work on this on Thursday. We will dedicate Thursday to creating a mindset shift so that you can't or don't or choose not to believe you're an emotional eater. We'll work on that on Thursday, so make sure you all come back. Tina, oh, girlfriend, you don't have to worry about spell check, my friend. I'm the queen of all that, but I appreciate the effort on that one. Fasting is where the magic happens. It totally does. Fasting, I believe, and this is what I practice here, and this is why I'm so adamant about the mindset shift part of this, is that if you believe fasting is where magic happens for you, as opposed to believing you're an emotional eater, like I fast when I want to get the most mental clarity. I fast when I want to be emotionally balanced. I fast so that I can create an environment for my body to heal itself. When you can believe that fasting is where the magic happens, y'all, it is the most powerful mindset to live in, and is the most powerful thought that you can put in your own brain. You can be confident that when it's just you against the world, you are going to be okay, my friend. You will be okay. You don't need anything else. Let's see. Vicious cycle. This has to change. I'm an informed eater now. There you go, Bree. You are an informed eater. So then when you say to yourself, I'm an informed eater, Bree, do me a favor. When you say you're an informed eater, tell me immediately how that changes how you feel. Tell me what you feel in one word when you say to yourself, I'm an informed eater. Jackie, looking forward to Thursday. Okay, good. Leona, well, I really needed to hear about the emotional eating mindset today. Thanks, Diane. You're welcome, my friend. This is going to be good for us as well, right? Elizabeth, just create several hobbies for yourself besides snacking. Yes, empowered. Okay, so Bree, when you say to yourself, I'm an informed eater, and you feel empowered, what kind of things, what kind of decision-making things will you make for yourself, or what kind of environment will you create in a decision-making process for yourself to prove that you are an informed eater? What will you do? Think about that. You can write them here or just write them down for yourself. But when I think I'm an informed eater and I feel empowered, what do you do? Those actions will result in you proving the thought that you are an informed eater. That's what you want to do, because you're already proving the other. We don't need to do that. We don't need to repeat that. I keep on fasting. There you go. Or you don't use food to fix problems that food is not the problem solver for, right? We don't use food to fix problems where food is not the problem solver. And for most of us, food is not the thing that's going to solve most of the things that we feel emotionally distraught about, especially going into these holiday seasons. There's so many women so stressed out about the holidays. Women are stressed out about vacation. Women are stressed out about going on a business trip because of food. Y'all, because of food, we're in control of that. We get to decide food. We have to be really, really careful about those thoughts, right? And going into the holidays, you do not have to eat everybody's freaking Christmas cookies. You don't have to eat Aunt Betty's 3-layer cake. You don't have to eat food that's going to make you sick. You just don't have to. If you want to, that's fine, but you don't have to. And the people that love you should respect the fact that you don't want to eat food that's going to make you unhappy and sick. Have you told people what your nutritional desires are and choices are? Maybe they don't know, right? But for me, I'm not going to eat a bunch of food this holiday season that's going to land me on the couch for a couple days. I can't afford to lose days off of my life for food. Neither can you, right? You can't afford to lose days off of your life because of food. Can't afford it. Days are limited. Don't waste any because of food. Just doesn't make sense. All right. I'm going to get off my little soapbox. Thanks for bringing up that conversation today, you guys. Make sure you're not putting yourself in this environment to have a negative experience because you're trying to do things from a desperate mindset. If you're going to practice extended fasting, do it from an informed place and put your body in an advantageous situation to benefit from why it is you want to practice an extended fasting couple of days, right? And then you want to make sure that you're not doing these too frequently, because there's also information that proves that that's not good for us as well. Practice something intermittently every single day. You have the opportunity to ask yourself 2 questions. How long am I fasting today? And how well will I feast? If you can answer those 2 questions honestly every day based on what it is you say that you really want for yourself, food is simple. You won't have to worry about counting calories. You won't have to worry about managing macros, because you would never let food be the thing that's going to take you out of your life for a day or a week or a month or whatever it is you're doing. Don't let food have that power over you. I can't wait till Thursday. Awesome. Okay, come back on Thursday. That's what you needed to hear. Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, bring your notepads and your pens and your journals or whatever it is you take notes in on Thursday, because I want you to take notes from Thursday. I want you to walk away with information on Thursday that you can turn to as a reminder of what it is you say you really want for yourself. Can't wait for Thursday. Thanks for all your comments today. Thank you for helping other women as well, because I know you guys sharing what it is that you're battling in your own mind here in our comment section is going to help so many other women. So I appreciate you guys. Love you. Have a good day. I'll see you on Thursday.